А почему лол? Знакомая игра? Первый раз видишь? Я тоже, если честно.
Dear Esther, the gulls do not land here anymore. I've noticed that this year they seem to shun the place. Maybe it's the depletion of the fishing stock driving them away.
Спасибо.
Perhaps it's me. When he first landed here, Donnelly wrote that the herds were sickly and their shepherds the lowest of the miserable classes that populate these Hebridean islands. 300 years later, even they have departed.
Бича? Что симулятор бича? Земли Бога?
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
Those islands in the distance, I'm sure, are nothing more than relics of another time, sleeping giants, somnambulist gods laid down for a final dreaming. I wash the sand from my lips and grip my wrist ever more tightly. My shaking arms will not support my fading diaries.
Не, еще нет. А, ой, по-моему, добавила.
I have found the ship's manifest, crumpled and waterlogged under a stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
Хорошо. А почему? Может, спрошу. Спасибо, Фасе. Привет, говорит. Здравствуйте. Чтобы я не нажала, он быстрее не бежит. Класс, я должна как добираться до маяка? Именно так?
The mount is clearly the focal point of this landscape. It almost appears so well placed as to be artificial. I find myself easily slipping into the delusional state of ascribing purpose, deliberate motive to everything here. Was this island formed during the moment of impact? When we were torn loose from our moorings, and the seatbelts cut motorway lanes into our chests and shoulders, did it first break surface then?
Тебе опять кого-то подарили, Дуд? Ну, это какая-то атмосферная игра. Тебе там все дарили уже.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh. They were God-fearing people, those shepherds. There was no love in the relationship.
Не знаю.
Donnelly tells me that they had one Bible that was passed around in strict rotation. It was stolen by a visiting monk in 1776, 2 years before the island was abandoned altogether. In the interim, I wonder, did they assign chapter and verse to the stones and grasses, marking the geography with a superimposed significance, that they could actually walk the Bible and inhabit its contradictions?
Не виню.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
Что как-то очень...
I would leave you presents outside your retreat in this interim space between cliff and beach. I would leave you loaves and fishes, but the fish stocks have been depleted and I've run out of bread. I would row you back to your homeland in a bottomless boat, but I fear we would both be driven mad by the chatter of the sea creatures.
Хз. Что это за хрень? Cool. Плавать можно? Ого. Не утонула каким-то образом. Тонула. Квова, окей.
The vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that. It is all sick to death. The water is too polluted for the fish, the sky is too thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds. I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer, that we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and ribcage, with enough left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
Опять эта бумажка. Я не знаю почему. Нет, это не нет. Такое ветрище. Стрёмно туда подниматься, конечно. Что? Загрузка? Приз получен Донелей. Шо?
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome break services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Почему лол? О, господи. Вася, что ты пишешь? А то она слетела. А, спасибо.
I had kidney stones, and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
Как же медленно он ходит. Бамболейло, бамболейло. Тари-тари-тари-тари-та-тари-та-та. Бамбалейла, бамбалейла. Тари-тари-тари-тари-та-тари-та-та. Терран протозверг. И паладин, 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 yeah-yeah. Я залипла тупо в эту игру. Иду, короче. Я гуляю. Виртуальная гулялка. Не надо мне сейчас про этот клип. Тем более, что здесь он женского пола. Так что ничего не знаю. Бибика, 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 бибика.
All night the boy has kept me lucid. I sat, when I was at the very edge of despair, when I thought I would never unlock the secret of the island, I sat at the edge, and I watched the idiot boy blink through the night. He's mute, and he is retarded, and he has no thought in his metal head but to blink each wave and each minute aside until the morning comes and renders him blind as well as deaf-mute. In many ways, we have much in common.
Просто должна гулять и ждать, когда он заговорит. Зашибись. Бибика, 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 бибика. Бибика, 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 бибика. Бибика, бибика, бибика. Бибика, 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 терерим, бибика. О. Бум бибика, бибика, биби бибика, биби бибика. Бибика. Бибику ля-ля. Я не знать, куда идти, ля-ля, лю-лю-лю-лю. Я не знать, куда мне пойти, ля-ля-ля.
I've begun to climb, away from the sea and towards the center. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
Господи. Красавчик. Тут, ну хватит издеваться. Да, и ходишь такая, ходишь.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. No one to
Я
carve
все
white
видела.
lines into the cliff for him either. lamps ran out, I didn't pick up a torch, but used the moonlight to read by. When I've pulled the last shreds of sense from it, I will throw Donnelly's book from the cliffs, and perhaps myself with it. Maybe it will wash back up through the caves and erupt from the spring when the rain comes, making its return to the hermit's cave. Perhaps it will be back on the table when I wake. I think I may have thrown it into the sea several times before.
Так, няк. Так, няк, навіть наших варіантів не було. Було варіантів. Не було, говорит. А, вон там. О! Куда попасть? Теперь по-русски.
What to make of Donnelly, the laudanum and the syphilis? It is clearly not how he began, but I've been unable to discover if the former was a result of his visiting the island or the force that drove him here. For the syphilis, a drunk driver smashing his insides into a pulp as he stumbled these paths, I can only offer my empathy. We're all victims of our age. My disease is the internal combustion engine and the cheap fermentation of yeast.
Да.
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. His fingernails were raw and bitten to the quick. They found the phosphorescent moss that grows in the caves deep under the nails. Whatever he'd been doing under the island when his strength began to fail is lost. He'd struggled halfway up the cliff again, perhaps in a delirium, perhaps trying to reach the Bothy's fire before curling into a stone and expiring.
Офигеть.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Чё, блин? Я в дырку упала, зашибись. Джейкобсон, приз получен. Да. И где я?
From here, this last time, I have understood there is no turning back. The torch is failing along with my resolve. I can hear the singing of the sea creatures from the passages above me, and they are promising the return of the gulls.
Ну, отлично. Зашибись. В пещерку попала. Какую-то странную. Ого.
They'd stop the traffic back as far as the Sanford Junction and come up the hard shoulder like radio signals from another star. It took 21 minutes for them to arrive.
Мой видение, когда родился, с вами
full-time
стремилась
to the
запрошептали
second
это имя.
on his
Спасибо,
watch.
Господи. Конец никогда. Кого не нравится, может уйти. Я так думаю, что это наверх. Сейчас, секунду. Твич вылетел, господи. Ого! Опять дырка! Ля-ля-ли-ля-ля-ля-ля! Безмолвный зритель. Идти тут, конечно, я ослепла. Что за место такое? Чё? Ого! Не падай! Пиу-пиу. Ходим по пещерам мы, ходим по пещерам мы. Тын. Когда же выйдем из пещеры мы? Когда же выйдем из пещеры? Ну, пожалуйста, говорит, скажи. Тын. Что за дырочки маленькие? Я не поняла, что это такое, куда мы идем. Тут шампиньоны, ну, шампиньоны, опять в пещеру попали мы. Oh.
I am traveling through my own body, following the line of infection from the shattered femur towards the heart. I swallow fistfuls of painkillers to stay lucid. In my delirium, I see the twin lights of the moon and the Ariel shining to me through the rocks.
Так, куда идти-то надо? А, вроде сюда. Я хочу уже выйти из пещеры. Ну, пжи. В смысле убей стирать выборочную память? Что случилось-то? Будь ласочка. Будь ласочка. Будь ласочка. Нет, не будь ласочка. Не говорит. Молодец, красавчик. Пиу. Тыры-тыры-туруру-ту. Надо бы спасеньки лечь уже. Ну, тын. Я хочу выйти отсюда. Nine.
This cannot be the shaft they threw the goats into. It cannot be the landfill where the parts of your life that would not burn ended up. It cannot be the chimney that delivered you to the skies. It cannot be the place where you rained back down again to fertilize the soil and make small flowers in the rocks.
Кто здесь есть? Кто свечу поставил? Воу. Что, уже конец игры, что ли? Я не поняла. Почему? Пидозри? Я заподозрю? Да, я заподозрю. То ли красиво, то ли страшно, я не могу понять. Нега, это я-то. Я задолбалась ползать куда-то там по всяким коридорам странным в пещере. Вроде поднимаешься, а никуда не выходишь. Я хочу выйти из пещеры уже. Наконец-то встала, господи. Найс, еще и нырять заставили. Опять? Я сдох? Так. Что это было вообще? Что грибы дадут. Там что-то есть. Что так сложно поднимается. Ага, понятно. Ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту. Эстер приз получен? Шо? Ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту. Тири-тири-тири-ти, тири-тири-ти-дин-дин-дин-дин-дин-дин-дин-дин-дин-дин-дин. Ура, я вышла из пещеры. Кто здесь живет, раз тут свечи, алло? Два пути? Я свечечки выберу, сорямба.
I wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight? fire and soil, I chose fire. It seemed the more contemporary of the options, the more sanitary. I could not bear the thought of the reassembly of such a ruin. Stitching arm to shoulder and femur to hip, charting a line of thread like traffic stilled on a motorway, making it all acceptable for tearful aunts and traumatized uncles flown in specially for the occasion. Reduce to ash, mix with water, make a phosphorescent paint for these rocks and ceilings.
Что? Ого, везде, везде. Ого. Пася, ну хватит обнимать моего модератора. Кш. Ну, спасибо. Дуда обнял, меня убил.
There were chemical diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity. From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
Ага. Он где-то близко, что ли? Это что, Эстра приехала его искать или кого, чего? Яйца? Пойду наверх. Ну, я обнял твой труп. Пс. Комрады, you need to go Discord. Кинь Артемку. Артемку, пошли копать картошку. Артемка, Артемка, пошли копать картошку. Тила, траливала. Таня не проходяла. Ня-ня, пипи-ля-ля-ля. Тару пум-пум. Тари пипи-порум. Уже целый час так ходим. Я пойду спать.
When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they resuscitated him by hitting him in the chest with stones gathered by the roadside. He was lifeless for 21 minutes, certainly long enough for the oxygen levels in his brain to have decreased and caused hallucinations and delusions of transcendence. I'm running out of painkillers, and the moon has become almost unbearably bright.
Там кто-то стоит? Там кто-то стоит. Мне кажется, там кто-то стоит.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Аниме, пониме, хентай, тян, ля-ля-ля-ля-ля, пипи-ля-ля-ля-ля. Та-та-та, 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 ти-тири-тари-тари-тун-тун. Я не понимашка, та-та-та-та. Где этот чупакабрик? Или мне уже нужно на маяк пойти?
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
На маньяка. Что, темно, что ли, стало? Серьезно? Я почти пришла, кстати, на маяк. Тили-тили. Траля-валя, почему ты медленно так идешь? Cheater.
The stones in my stomach will weigh me down and ensure my descent is true and straight. I will break through the fog of these godforsaken pills and achieve clarity. All my functions are clogged, all my veins are choked. If my leg doesn't rot off before I reach the summit, it will be a miracle. There are 21 connections in the circuit diagram of the anti-lock brakes. There are 21 species of gull inhabiting these islands. It is 21 miles between the Sandford Junction and the turn-off for home. All these things cannot, will not be a coincidence.
Ага. Так, ребята, пойду-ка я спать. Спокойной ноченьки. О боже. Что-то что-то непонятное происходит. Угу. Да. Спокойной ночи, приятных снов. До послезавтра. Если до завтра. Бла-ла-ла-ла.